That username rings a bell, I think. New deck. Prime Speaker Zagana versus Keranos, God of Storms, and we can't keep this hand. So we'll have to mulligan, and that is not terrible. It's by no means fast, but it's not terrible. We're at least on the draw, so we could get into... Yeah, we can get into a turn 2 Signet either way. We have nothing to do on turn 1, so we might as well get the scry out of the way on turn 1. And while we're waiting for our opponent to do whatever he's doing, Prime Speaker Zagana, a 1-1 for 6 mana. It enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power amongst creatures you control. And then when it enters, you draw a card for each power that Prime Speaker Zagana has. That's quite nice. Yeah, we'll put that on top. And just pass over to our opponent, Keranos, God of Storms, indestructible, 5 mana, 6/5. It needs devotion to blue and red of 7 or more in order to become a creature. And at the beginning of each of your turns, reveal the first card you draw. Let's see. I thought it was upkeep. Reveal the first card you draw in each of your turns. Whenever you reveal a land card this way, draw a card. Whenever you reveal a non-land card this way, it lightning bolts. We can just get into a Simic Signet here and see if it gets counted. Yep, as predicted, it certainly does. Keranos, God of Storms, most likely some kind of spell slinger deck. Okay, they go for a cycling on the miscalculation, so they do not counter the Signet. They'll most likely counter the Wanvoli Acid Moss. Never actually read that before. Wanvoli Acid Moss. Destroy a land and search your library for a forest card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. We could go after our opponent's Cascade Bluffs, but we now cannot do that next turn. So we're going to have to really hope for a land drop now. Go for Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. And then if we get into a land next turn, we can go for this and try and cut off their red mana. Wouldn't normally make a play like that, but I know how spiky Keranos, God of the Storms is. I also recognise this user as well, so probably going to get beaten by this deck. Yeah, definitely going to get beaten here. In fact, I just want to put that there. Okay, yeah, we just have to swing in here. We were pretty reliant on that Signet or drawing into a land. Unfortunately, we didn't. So we'll just hit our opponent for 2. And then see what they want to do at the end of the turn. They Impulse. So yeah, typical spell slinger deck, similar to our, what's it called, Niv Mizzet Perun deck. Which is counter things, burn things, and then when you're not countering and burning, you can draw at instant speed instead at the end of your opponent's turn. Okay, let's see if they want to do anything with this. We'll go after the Volcanic Island. In fact, no, we won't. We'll go after the Cascade Bluffs. That can give them 2 red. And they'll most likely counter this. But that does at least get the counterspell out of their hand. Might be something like a Mystic Confluence for 5 mana. Yeah, Mystic Confluence. And draw a card. Yeah, that's fine. Good to get that out of their hand. And we're not... It would be nice to have this, but if we get into a land next turn, we can go for the Arbor Colossus or the Storm Surge Kraken. And failing that, we just go for Ranger's Path, I think. Okay, we do get into it, so why don't we hope that we don't get force spiked here. Actually, I think we can Ranger's Path. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, we can do that later. I think we just Ranger's Path here, actually. We can get our 2 dual lands. They might have... This is going to feel really bad if they have Spell Pierce, but they don't. And we don't pay the life, and yeah, we'll see next turn if that was the right play or not. We'll also see what they reveal off this. They reveal a Soul Ring, so that's even more mana for them, which is what you don't want in a deck like this. Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Yeah, I think that is a pretty good Planeswalker card, isn't it? And the artwork is superb. Yeah, I need to try and hunt down the full art version of that. It's half of it is cut off here. I'd like to see that. We have 6 mana, so we can go for... we'll see if this gets countered. I'll be... There we go. Go for Arbor Colossus. It's just a cheap 6/6 basically. And then we can go for our Felwar Stone as well. And that will get us blue mana. And I'm just hoping that our opponent doesn't have any counter magic in hand now. They might just be holding up their counter magic for Zagana. And they add blue. I think it's humorous that I was not lying, but slightly lying about recognising this opponent's username. This is the Salty Griselbrand opponent, and what they said in the last game was that they think that Spellslinger Izzet decks are janky and that they can't win. And it was humorous because, as one of the commenters pointed out, and I pinned their comment, they said, "Oh, this is why these janky Izzet Spellslinger decks can't win." And then I proceeded to beat them with exactly that, and while they were using the most broken card in the format, which is Griselbrand. And now it looks like they've actually seen the light and gone to a Spellslinger deck themselves under Keranos. At least they didn't go for Niv Mizzet Perun. But they are running Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and they are running Dak Faden, like we are. So I wonder if they've gone over to our deck list and copy and pasted. Yeah, we are running Impulse and a Braid, and I mean everything that we've seen so far is in that Niv Mizzet Perun deck, so I wonder if that's what they've done. Maybe not, but if I'm being quite vain, I think that's what they might be doing. We'll try and get, just in case they don't have a counter, this thing does have hexproof, so we'll try and get this out and get this to stick. This isn't by any means a competitive deck, unlike I think our opponent's is. Certainly more competitive than ours if they have just decided to copy our Niv Mizzet deck. Which I am just casting aspersions there. I've no idea if they actually have done that or not. But yeah, this Prime Speaker Zagana deck just wants to play big creatures and then play out Prime Speaker and draw a lot of cards from that. In a more casual format, it can be pretty good, but it's certainly not competitive like a Keranos deck is. Okay, going to counter the Storm Surge. We can't pay the mana for that, so we'll just go for Skura Tribe Elder, and we're pretty reliant on the See the Unwritten now. So yeah, if we can't get big creatures out, then what we ultimately want to do is actually, yeah, we pretty much have to get big creatures out, to be honest. If we can't deal with the control magic, then yeah, we're pretty stuck. There's not a whole lot else we can do, to be honest. And in fact, while we're getting smashed by... Well, I think we're going to get battered by this deck, to be honest. I'm going to ask our opponent, have you seen... or... No, I think I saw you in a... I think you said... Okay, yeah, so they clearly... Alright, they're pretty proud of it. Well, you don't know what game I'm referring to, obviously. Is it... Just having a bit of fun with our opponent here. Normally, you'll have to take my word for it. I swear I don't normally do things like this. But if you haven't seen the game, I recommend, this is shameless self-promotion, but I recommend that you go and watch Griselbrand versus Niv Mizzet, because something happened at the end, and it's worth what the game's actually quite good, I think, so it's worth watching, and you'll get the full impact at the very end. And I'm just reading what my opponent's saying. Yeah, so I'm just having a bit of fun with them and playing with them. Ooh, Cavern of Souls is nice. Yeah, I'm sure many of you have seen that video. If you have, then judging by the way they behaved, I'm sure you won't mind me being quite childish there. And this is jank, wow. Chandra Torch of Defiance, Dak Faden played in very powerful formats. Jace the Mind Sculptor, just bear in mind all these cards are jank. Keranos, God of Storms is jank. Brainstorm's jank. Ancestral Vision is jank. Obliterate is jank. I mean, I haven't named a bad card yet. Supreme Will, certainly jank. Mystic Confluence is jank. Impulse, Ponder, Abrade. Miscalculation is I think Miscalculation and Control Magic are the only cards you could argue are jank. But anyway, far be it for me to call my opponent a liar. If we... Oh, I overpaid for that. There we go. We'll go for this and see if we can actually get anything off of it without getting countered. Whoa, my opponent likes to... Yeah, this is what they did last game. They like to talk. And this is jank, by the way. Does not win a lot of games, probably 50% of the time. 50% isn't terrible. But this is also a different version of what that guy was playing. Oh, right, cool. So that is... That's pretty honest of you. I don't play any creatures in here except Snap, so makes all removal pointless for opponent. Cryptic Command, jank. Yeah, so at least talking to the guy, my suspicions have been confirmed. And yeah, even though we're going to get beaten by our own deck, at least I own almost all EDH decks. I don't know what that means. It might mean that he plays against. I own almost all. I have pretty much every card. Okay, yeah, that's great. We're all very impressed. Yeah, it confirms what I thought initially was, which is that the deck that we ran against him which is Spellslinger. I'm sure people have seen the deck anyway. Niv Mizzet Perun, Spellslingers, just really good cards, not letting your opponent do anything. And our opponent just couldn't get out Griselbrand, basically. And why don't we just try and get this out quickly? Yeah, they just couldn't get Griselbrand out, and I'm just saying to them that it clearly had an effect on them, because while they were saying that the deck was jank and terrible and blah blah blah, now they've turned around and just said, wow, they played Daze as well. Jank. Competitive is more like it. I nearly put Daze in the deck, but I just because I don't want to say it's not competitive, that Niv Mizzet Perun deck, but yeah, I suppose it isn't competitive. What am I saying? I play a different deck almost every time I play. Yeah, just wanted to record this game because I didn't know how it was going to go, obviously. But this opponent, I was giving the benefit of the doubt at first and didn't want to like scream all over YouTube about, oh, this is the guy that was a dick before and blah 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 and all this. But you know, even if I do that, which I'm not doing, but even if I did do that, he deserves it because he was. And I just think it's hilarious that after all that talk and all that screaming and shouting in the last game, he copies my deck and then proceeds to thrash me with it, even though he was talking about how janky it was and described it as janky in this very game. So, yeah, a strange one, but a fun little bit of bonus content, I think.